Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders enter the 2025 season with the kind of buzz that this franchise hasn't felt in a very long time. The energy around the team is electric, fueled by last year's shocking run to the NFC Championship game and the meteoric rise of rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels. Daniels didn't just play well. He became the story of the NFL, dazzling with his poise, accuracy, and athleticism in a way few first-year players ever have. But as the Commanders ride that momentum into what many fans hope could be a historic season, there's a pressing concern that lingers quietly in the background: the backup quarterback situation. In the NFL, it's a given that at some point, a starting quarterback could miss time, and when that happens, the depth of the roster is truly tested. For Washington, the names behind Daniels aren't inspiring much confidence, and that's becoming one of the key storylines of the preseason. When you peel back the layers, the first real question mark comes with Sam Hartman. On paper, Hartman offers intrigue because of his youth and the potential that comes with it. He has arm strength, college experience, and the sort of tools that make scouts believe he could develop into something meaningful down the road. But potential only gets you so far in the NFL, and preseason tape doesn't lie. Against Baltimore, Hartman looked like a quarterback still struggling to adjust to the speed of the pro game. His stat line told the story: 2 interceptions, one of them a back-breaking pick-six, along with a noticeable lack of zip on outside throws. Even his completions came mostly behind the line of scrimmage, which isn't the type of performance that builds trust with coaches. For Washington fans, it was a sobering reminder that relying on Hartman right now could be asking for trouble in a season where expectations are sky-high. Then there's Josh Johnson, a 38-year-old journeyman who has seemingly played for half the league at some point or another. Johnson is the definition of a stopgap solution, experienced enough to know how to run an offense, but prone to mistakes that make you wonder if the risk outweighs the reward. His preseason numbers weren't much better than Hartman's, with 3 interceptions of his own scattered across multiple outings. At his age, it's not as if Washington can expect significant improvement either. What Johnson does provide is stability in the locker room and a calm presence under pressure, but the question is whether that's enough to justify a roster spot when the ceiling feels so limited. If Daniels were to go down, would Johnson really be capable of carrying this talented roster through even a short stretch of games? That's the dilemma keeping the coaching staff awake. Hovering over all of this is Marcus Mariota, the presumed backup who, at least in theory, should be the safety net behind Daniels. Mariota has experience, athleticism, and the kind of dual-threat ability that could mesh well with Washington's offensive scheme. The problem is his health. Achilles tendonitis sidelined him for most of the past 3 weeks, raising concerns about his durability heading into a season where reliability is everything. The Commanders need Mariota available, and while he returned to practice last week, there's still uncertainty about how much the injury could linger. If he's fully healthy, Mariota is the clear choice for QB2. If not, Washington suddenly finds itself in a precarious situation where the backup plan doesn't feel much safer than the third-string options. That's the fine line the Commanders are walking as they prepare for kickoff. What makes this such a fascinating storyline is the timing. Rarely has Washington entered a season with this much hope, and rarely has the conversation been so split between championship aspirations and concerns about depth. The roster around Daniels is strong: a physical defense, a dynamic group of playmakers, and a coaching staff that seems to have breathed new life into the organization. But the NFL is ruthless, and one unfortunate injury can derail everything. That's why backup quarterback discussions, as boring as they sometimes sound, carry so much weight. Fans might be dreaming of playoff runs and Super Bowl scenarios, but coaches know the reality. Depth wins in the NFL, and Washington is testing fate if they don't shore up this position. The team's decision on whether to keep 2 or 3 quarterbacks will speak volumes about how they view their odds of surviving the unexpected. Coach Dan Quinn has a major decision on his hands, and his approach will likely reflect his defensive-minded background. A coach who knows the value of preparation and contingency planning isn't going to take the quarterback depth chart lightly. Do you keep 3 quarterbacks, hoping that Hartman's youth eventually translates into production? Or do you go with the safer, albeit uninspiring, option in Johnson? Or does the team gamble on Mariota's health, trusting that he'll be available when called upon? These are the kind of roster choices that may not dominate headlines now, but could define the season months from today. The NFL is a marathon, not a sprint, and decisions made in August often shape what happens in December and January. For Washington, it's not just about filling out the roster. It's about protecting the dream that Daniels has ignited. Adding to the intrigue is how Daniels himself factors into this. He's young, he's dynamic, and he's still learning the ropes of the NFL. As great as his rookie season was, history tells us that sophomore slumps are real, and defenses will be better prepared for him in year two. That doesn't mean Daniels is destined to regress, but it does mean that he could face tougher battles ahead. If he hits a rough patch or suffers even a minor injury, the backup situation will move from background noise to front-page news overnight. Fans and analysts alike understand that Washington's success rests heavily on Daniels' shoulders, but it's unfair to expect him to be invincible. Having a capable backup is about more than injury insurance. It's about giving the franchise breathing room to let Daniels grow without the entire season collapsing if something goes wrong. There's also a financial element to consider. NFL rosters are built within the constraints of the salary cap, and every spot has to be justified. Carrying 3 quarterbacks means sacrificing depth elsewhere, maybe at wide receiver, defensive line, or special teams. That's not a small decision, especially for a team that knows it has championship potential. If Washington chooses to gamble on Daniels' health and Mariota's recovery, they could use that roster spot to strengthen another area. But if they err on the side of caution, they risk keeping a quarterback who might never see the field, which is a tough sell in a league where every inch of roster space matters. This is the kind of balancing act that separates good organizations from great ones, and it's the kind of decision-making that Washington hasn't always been praised for in the past. As fans gear up for opening day against the New York Giants, the focus will understandably be on Daniels and whether he can pick up right where he left off last season. The hype is real, and the Commanders have a chance to make a statement early in front of their home crowd. But beneath the surface, this backup quarterback situation could quietly define the tone of the season. Will Washington enter with confidence that their depth can carry them through adversity, or will they hope that Daniels never has to leave the field for anything other than celebrations? The first snap on September 7th will start to provide answers, but the truth is this story won't fully play out until the season tests Washington in unexpected ways. That's the beauty and the brutality of the NFL. Nothing is guaranteed, and preparation is everything. At the end of the day, the Washington Commanders find themselves at a crossroads. They are a team on the rise, powered by a young superstar and energized by a fan base hungry for success. Yet, like so many great teams before them, their fate could hinge on something as unglamorous as backup quarterback decisions. It's not the headline anyone wanted, but it's the reality they must face. The difference between making another deep playoff run and watching the season unravel could come down to whether the men behind Daniels are ready when called upon. That's the drama, the tension, and the reality of football. For now, Commanders fans can dream big, but they'll do so with one cautious eye fixed on the sidelines, hoping that the names Hartman, Johnson, and Mariota never have to matter more than they already do. And that, in itself, tells the entire story. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. The NFL world is buzzing with a rumor that seems too intriguing to ignore. Devin Lloyd, the ferocious linebacker whose presence on the field has been nothing short of transformative, is reportedly leaving Jacksonville. Sources close to the organization suggest that the move is part of a larger, strategic overhaul that could redefine defensive football as we know it. The whispers around the league indicate that Lloyd's departure might not just be a routine trade or contract issue, but a deliberate plan orchestrated by front offices to reshape a team that's been craving identity and dominance for years. Jacksonville fans, of course, are in shock, torn between admiration for Lloyd's relentless energy and frustration over the potential void his absence might create. Speculation is mounting about which teams are positioned to benefit from Lloyd's unique skill set, and among them, the Washington Commanders appear to be emerging as the frontrunners in what could be a historic acquisition. The story takes an even more electrifying turn when we consider the impact of Lloyd joining the Commanders' front seven. Analysts are whispering that his arrival could instantly upgrade Washington's defensive versatility, offering unprecedented speed and tackling precision that the team has lacked for years. In conversations with insiders, some have hinted that Lloyd isn't just another addition. He's potentially the cornerstone of a defense that could redefine the team's identity for the next decade. The Commanders' defensive coordinator is reportedly thrilled at the idea of orchestrating schemes around a player with Lloyd's combination of athleticism and football IQ. Fans are imagining a front seven capable of neutralizing even the most dynamic offenses in the league, with Lloyd at the heart of it all. Rumors suggest that his leadership and intensity in practice alone could inspire a cultural shift, transforming Washington into a team that opponents dread facing week in and week out. Sources suggest that negotiations between Lloyd and the Commanders have been intense but productive, pointing to a mutual understanding that this move is about legacy as much as it is about immediate impact. League insiders report that Lloyd has expressed excitement about working with a coaching staff that seems willing to tailor defensive schemes to his strengths, rather than fitting him into a rigid system. The whispers hint at contract terms designed to reward performance, with incentives that align perfectly with Lloyd's competitive nature, ensuring that every game becomes a showcase of his relentless drive. While Jacksonville fans grieve the possible loss, the speculation around Washington's locker room atmosphere has been palpable, with teammates reportedly buzzing about the arrival of a player who could elevate everyone around him. There's talk that Lloyd's presence may even alter how opposing teams approach the Commanders, forcing them to rethink strategies and personnel planning weeks before game day. Even more tantalizing is the suggestion that this move could signal a broader trend in the league, where teams are willing to make bold, headline-grabbing decisions to secure defensive talent that redefines the game. Analysts have been murmuring that Lloyd's potential influence extends beyond the field, hinting at a shift in how front sevens might be constructed in the coming years. The Commanders, historically perceived as a team searching for a defensive identity, might now have a chance to not just compete but dominate, and all eyes are on Lloyd to see if he can fulfill this vision. Rumors suggest that rival teams are already recalibrating their draft boards and free agent priorities, anticipating that Washington could emerge as a defensive juggernaut. Lloyd's combination of size, speed, and instincts reportedly makes him the kind of player who can disrupt passing lanes, pressure quarterbacks, and intimidate runners, forcing an entirely new level of preparation from opponents across the league. Whispers around the league further imply that Lloyd's leadership might be just as impactful off the field as on it, fostering an environment where younger players absorb not just technique but mentality. Insiders speculate that his influence could reach the Commanders' locker room culture, instilling discipline and intensity that transforms the team from good to elite. The speculation even extends to game day energy, with some pundits suggesting that Lloyd's arrival could create momentum swings capable of turning close games into decisive victories. Fans have begun to imagine highlight reels filled with bone-crushing tackles and sideline celebrations that reinforce the Commanders' renewed identity as a defense-first powerhouse. The rumors also hint that coaches are reimagining defensive formations to maximize Lloyd's versatility, blending his coverage skills with pass-rushing responsibilities in ways that opponents may struggle to counter, potentially creating one of the most innovative defenses the league has seen in years. Compounding the excitement, there's chatter that the Commanders might be willing to make additional moves to support Lloyd's integration, possibly targeting complementary defensive players who can thrive alongside him. Rumors suggest that the front office sees this as a rare opportunity to construct a front seven that balances speed, power, and tactical intelligence in unprecedented ways. Analysts speculate that Lloyd's signing could ripple through the NFL, prompting other teams to reassess the value of elite linebackers and the defensive structures around them. Fans on social media have taken to debating how this move could impact rivalries and playoff scenarios, with many suggesting that the Commanders could leap into contention for years to come. While nothing is confirmed, the persistent buzz surrounding Lloyd's potential arrival has already redefined the narrative for Washington, making this offseason one of the most intriguing storylines in recent memory, with a single player at the center of it all. Industry insiders have hinted that the Lloyd rumors might not just be strategic maneuvers, but a genuine reflection of his desire for change, seeking a stage where his talents can shine and shape the game around him. Speculation is rife that Lloyd's departure from Jacksonville was influenced by both personal ambition and the lure of a team willing to embrace his full potential. Washington, known for its loyal yet demanding fan base, might provide the perfect crucible for his talents to flourish, creating a narrative where a single off-season acquisition could become the defining moment of a career. The gossip also points to subtle maneuvers in team facilities, where coaches and scouts are reportedly preparing welcome plans that highlight Lloyd's strengths, signaling that this potential move is already being treated as transformational. If the rumors hold true, the Commanders' defensive identity could shift from reactive to proactive, with Lloyd at the epicenter of a unit designed to dominate every level of the field. Adding to the intrigue, the timing of this potential move aligns with critical decision points for Washington's front office, suggesting that Lloyd's acquisition is not merely opportunistic, but part of a carefully orchestrated strategy to solidify the team's future. Rumors indicate that discussions about defensive schemes, personnel adjustments, and even minor coaching tweaks are already underway, hinting at a holistic approach to Lloyd's integration. League insiders speculate that such meticulous planning could allow the Commanders to maximize Lloyd's impact immediately, rather than waiting for him to adjust to the system. Fans, naturally, are dreaming about games where Lloyd's presence turns the tide, imagining a season of high-pressure stops, turnover creation, and a defensive force capable of dictating game tempo. Meanwhile, Jacksonville supporters are left reflecting on what could have been, while the rest of the league watches in anticipation, sensing a potential seismic shift in NFL defensive hierarchies. Rumors also suggest that Lloyd's impact might extend beyond defense, potentially influencing the team's overall approach to player development, game preparation, and in-game adjustments. Analysts are speculating that his presence could allow Washington to experiment with unconventional formations, blending linebacker agility with traditional defensive line strength to create confusion and mismatches for opposing offenses. The buzz hints at a new era for the Commanders, where flexibility, speed, and intelligence converge to form a front seven capable of responding dynamically to any challenge. Industry insiders even speculate that this could set a precedent, inspiring other teams to rethink how they evaluate and acquire defensive talent, particularly linebackers with Lloyd's rare combination of attributes. While still unconfirmed, the rumor mill has turned Lloyd's potential move into one of the hottest narratives of the offseason, with fans, analysts, and rival executives all holding their breath for what could become a legendary acquisition. In addition, the speculation around Lloyd's potential impact has sparked debates about the broader competitive landscape, with commentators suggesting that Washington's new defensive nucleus could alter playoff predictions, divisional dynamics, and even MVP considerations. Rumors hint that Lloyd's presence could force opposing quarterbacks into hurried decisions, elevate secondary performance, and fundamentally change how teams approach the red zone against Washington. Fans are already envisioning signature moments where Lloyd's explosive tackles and leadership pivot entire games, creating a storyline worthy of highlight reels and sports commentary shows. The whispers also imply that coaching staff are planning nuanced strategies, using Lloyd as both a decoy and a centerpiece, leveraging his multifaceted skills to create confusion and exploit weaknesses in opposing offenses. If the rumors materialize, Washington could emerge not just as a playoff contender, but as a team capable of redefining defensive football for a generation, with Lloyd at the helm of this metamorphosis. Meanwhile, social media speculation continues to grow, fueled by insiders dropping hints and cryptic statements that only serve to heighten anticipation. Fans are dissecting every possible scenario, from alignment adjustments to draft pick maneuvers, imagining a Commander's defense that suddenly becomes one of the league's most feared units. Analysts continue to whisper that Lloyd's addition could serve as a catalyst for other defensive acquisitions, creating a domino effect that reshapes the NFL's talent landscape. Even rival teams are reportedly monitoring every development, aware that Lloyd's potential arrival could shift the balance of power in critical divisions. The rumor mill, relentless and imaginative, has elevated this story beyond a simple player trade, framing it as a potential cultural and strategic revolution. with Devin Lloyd at the center, ready to rewrite the narrative of both his career and the Commanders' defensive future. Finally, the buzz surrounding Devin Lloyd's possible move to Washington has reached a fever pitch, with every report, insider comment, and speculation feeding into a narrative that's becoming impossible to ignore. The combination of Lloyd's talent, leadership, and timing suggests that if the rumors prove true, this could be one of the most significant defensive acquisitions in recent NFL history. Fans, analysts, and commentators alike are imagining a Commanders team reimagined from the trenches outward, a defense that can dictate the pace, frustrate opponents, and create opportunities for game-changing plays. While official confirmation remains absent, the persistent chatter, aligned insider hints, and strategic calculations all point toward a move that could transform both Lloyd's legacy and Washington's defensive identity. For now, the NFL waits, eager to see if this rumor becomes reality, potentially reshaping the landscape of professional football in a way that few could have predicted. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.